guys, how's it going? It's Al, week 8, and I've got some running backs that we got to talk about. Now, typically on this video, we try to stick to the 5-box running backs. The 5 boxes being defined as players who are playing at home, favorite, expectation of 20 touches inside the 5 carries, and involved in the passing game. But like, I've looked, and they're just not around this week. Either like some of the running backs are on the road, some of the running backs aren't favored, they're at home, some of the running backs that are at home and favored don't really have involvement in the passing game, or they don't project to get 20 touches. So like, I'm going to go over the guys that kind of are on that list, and then we're going to talk about some of the best running backs on the list this week. Regardless, box agnostic, however you want to say it. So let's go down the list and talk about some of the best running backs that you should be playing on DraftKings in week 8. Let's go.
He's a legend.
The week 8 Smiz Gang Listener League is posted. It is $10 to enter. It is not in the lobby. You have to go to smizzle.tv/links if you want to get there. It's a 3-max tournament, $50,000 in the prize pool. Once again, it's probably going to end up getting smaller as the weeks go on, especially if we don't fill it. So it's been filling most weeks on Saturday. So I think this is still going to be something that fills early, but you've got to go reserve your seats right now. Go to smizzle.tv/links, find the link to the Listen League, as well as the links to literally everything else that I do. It's a 3-max tournament and the best tournament on DraftKings because it has absolutely no rake. So reserve your seats today, get in early, and let's keep filling it, because if we keep filling it, it stays at 50,000. I'm going to shout out all of the winners from this tournament on the Fantasy Football channel, the top 10 on the recap video for the week. So if you wanted to head over there, go to smizzle.tv/ff. The review video, the recap video for week 7 is already posted. Go to that channel, subscribe. We're approaching 6,000 subs on that channel right now. So go watch the recap video if you wanted everything that happened in week 7. And let's get to the video. Ken Walker III has taken over the running back's job in Seattle and has done extremely well. One might say he has taken the job and run with it. He did. Like, he literally did, though. A 74-yard touchdown run to just ice the day and pay off on the massive chalk that he was as the 3rd running back. 3 chalk running backs went nuts last week. Now, they are at home. They are favored. He does have a projection of getting 20 touches. He's the only guy on the roster that's going to handle the inside the 5, but like 3 targets through 2 games when he's been the lead dog, that's not great. So I want this to improve, but like, I don't want him to have to rely on breaking long touchdowns. A 74-yard run in week 7, a 34-yard run in week 6, and a very nice 69-yard touchdown run in week 5 against New Orleans after Penny left that game. It's not something that you want to have to rely on, though it is something that has been a part of his skill set since he was in college. He is a big play back. We've seen backs thrive on that in the league already with Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, 2 of the best in terms of breaking off long runs seemingly every single week. Like, they lead the league in that, and maybe Ken Walker is that type of guy. But if you play them and they don't do that on that week, especially as the price tag is elevating, $5,400 in week 6 to $5,800 in week 7, now up to $6,500, he's still priced at a point where he projects at a value versus his projection on a point per dollar basis. But like, it's getting to a point where he's going to have to do some serious things to start paying off that salary, and having no involvement in the passing game and having a heavy reliance on big time runs makes this a little bit more dangerous the higher that price tag goes. Dalvin Cook, similar situation, playing at home and favored against an Arizona team that like is fine to play running backs against. Like, they're not amazing, but not getting involved in the passing game at all any of their last 4 games. And it's exceptionally disheartening considering that he had 11 targets in the first 2 weeks of the season and 5 targets in the last 4 games. Not playing like 85-90% of the snaps. They are working in Alexander Mattison enough into this offense that it's annoying. Not using him in the passing game at all, splitting red zone carries, although he is getting the lion's share of them. They do project to score a lot of points this week. They are projected to play from ahead this week. Team total of like 26, 27 points is always going to be great. He's going to be the secondary option in this offense behind JJ. And 7,600 isn't exorbitant, but like, there is a massive difference between the floor and the ceiling of Dalvin Cook. So like, I think that Dalvin Cook is a good play this week. I don't think that he's a cash game must. I think that he's more of a tournament play, assuming where his percentage is going to be. I think that his percentage is going to be lower on the list versus some of the other running backs on this list. And he definitely has 25, 35 point upside, but he is going to be very touchdown reliant to have to realize that, especially without the usage in the passing game like at all. Hopefully that returns specifically against Arizona, because I would like Dalvin Cook to do some fun things on the score sheet. Don't throw up yet, please. Just hear me out. Shut up. Okay, just sit back down. Listen, okay? The Falcons are playing at home. They are 4.5 point favorites over the Panthers. He doesn't have any involvement in the passing game because they don't throw the ball ever. So, like, how could he have any involvement in the pass game if they don't fucking throw the ball ever? So, like, he's gonna run it a lot. They're gonna, like, look, last few games, 16 carries, 15 carries, 13 carries in the absence of Cordell Patterson, who is who is not yet ready to come off of IR. I'm laughing at chat. No, I am up and I am irate. I get it. I understand. I told you the list of 5 box guys is thin and it's ugly. But, like, let's go over and take a look at what Atlanta does offensively. They have run the ball 57.6% of the time. 200 rushes. They were down 10 or more points on 93% plus of their snaps in week 7. And they still only threw it like 6 times. Don't fact check me, but I'm close. So, like, they're gonna have a run over expectation. So you know you're gonna get carries from him. He's the one that they have used inside the goal line. This is the definition of a run, pass, punt offense. First down, we're gonna run it twice as much. Second down, we're gonna run it more than we throw it. And third down, then we're gonna pass it, and then we're just gonna have to punt because that's the offense that we run. So, like, Tyler Algier is on the run, pass, punt offense, but squaring off against Carolina and at home and favorite. Okay, it's enough already. Let's get to the actually good running backs on the week, because, like, the 5 boxes are in shambles. Derrick Henry, he's really good, and I like volume over everything, and he is certainly getting enough of that with 26 or more opportunities. That's carries plus targets for the last 4 weeks. 26 in week 3 against Las Vegas, 27 in week 4 against Indy, 30 in week 5, come off the bye week and gets 33. So, like, trending upwards. You have to pay to get him. 8,400. It used to be that Derrick Henry was a lot like I spoke of with, like, Dalvin Cook, like I was talking about with Ken Walker, where you needed that big run. You needed him to get the 100-yard bonus, and he wasn't going to get any pass game usage. But, like, that's just not the case this year. 3 targets, 2 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets. Yeah, no targets against Buffalo, but, like, they were losing 86-0 at halftime. So, like, they have somebody. We got a mole in the building, y'all. Like, somebody has gotten in the coaching staffs here and be like, hey, guys, I watched this dude on YouTube, and he said that, like, he thinks that if we just throw, like, 1 screen pass a quarter to Derrick Henry, that, like, our passing game would be better and his numbers would be better, and we'd probably have a better expectation of winning. So, like, what, like, it seems like it's something easy that we could probably just implement into everything that we're doing and not really have much to change. Like, why aren't we throwing little screen passes to Derrick Henry? And if you look, 3 targets, 2 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets, 23-yard long, 22-yard long, 24-yard long. This man is scary running downhill at opposing DBs. It's horrible. I can't imagine being 5'10" and 195 pounds and having this mountain of a man, 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, running 20 miles an hour in my general direction, who's going to go over or through me. Do that more offensively, right? And, like, they seem to be doing it. So higher floor than usual on Derrick Henry. 25-30 touch expectation, squaring off against Houston, the team that we, like, stream running backs against literally every week. There's, like, 150-yard 2 touchdown potential here with 3 targets for Derrick Henry. He's definitely a pay up option for me. I think that he's cash game viable this week. It's going to depend on if we can find enough value at wide receiver as the week rolls on. Saquon Barkley at 8,100, I think, is going to come in. I think people are going to be more excited to play Saquon than they are Derrick Henry, and I'm not sure that that's correct. Although Saquon has been, I don't think that's the right play. I right now on Tuesday, as I'm recording this, I kind of prefer Saquon Barkley. Like, I prefer Derrick Henry, but I think that people are going to prefer Saquon Barkley. Hasn't gotten all that much more usage in the passing game than over the last month than Derrick Henry's got. He's a fantastic player. Big time rush ability, big time breakaway ability, both in the passing game and in the running game. They're playing against Seattle, another team that we want to play running backs against. There's not that many threats on the outside. All of this offense has to go through Saquon Barkley. Fantastic play once again. Like I said, I prefer Henry to Barkley, but go ahead, change my mind. I think that more people are going to be on Barkley than Henry, but it's such a projection-based game that if the projection sets on like Establish the Run, Fantasy Labs, Rotogrinders, all the sites are higher on a points per dollar basis and grade Henry as the better play, then I think more people will be on him. But I kind of feel like that's not going to happen. I don't think these projection sets have adjusted to Derrick Henry's new usage in the passing game, and they're more based on like prior, larger sample sizes, trailing 3 years and such. Alvin Kamara is somebody who's certainly involved in the passing game, though he can't even sniff the end zone, apparently. He's not allowed. Alvin, you're not allowed to even smell the end zone this year. You're going to have way too many touches. You are the Miles Sanders All-Star for 2022, except way better, because 9 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. Like, that's really good. It's enough already with the Taysom Hill stuff. It's enough. 7,100, entirely too cheap. Like, ridiculous cheap. With all the injuries in the wide receiver room, Alvin Kamara is being used at an absurd rate in the passing game, like 20+% of the market share of targets, still doing enough on the ground for us. Ideally, I want like 12 to 15 carries from him. We want 6 to 10 targets from him. 7,100, far too cheap for the scoring that exists on DraftKings. And I'm going to go way out on a limb, and I'm going to predict that Alvin Kamara is going to score a touchdown in 2022. Call me crazy. But like past performance, the 0 touchdowns that he scored so far through 7 weeks is not going to be indicative of future output. He's going to find his way into the end zone. But even if he doesn't, this is why I like players that profile like Alvin Kamara, because even without scoring a touchdown, 17.5 points on volume alone, 18.4 points on volume alone, 27.4 points on volume alone, and only in one of those situations did he get you the 100-yard bonus. 91 yards receiving here, 99 yards rushing in week 6. Only had that 100 yards on the ground in week 5 against Seattle. So like, Alvin Kamara is just a stud play. On the other side of Alvin Kamara, we have Josh Jacobs, apparently the best running back in the history of the NFL, with 6 touchdowns the last 3 weeks and over 143 yards rushing. Remember what we had talked about, that they are now utilizing Josh Jacobs as the massive cog to make this offense go. Adams has really opened up an awful lot, and Devontae Adams is clearly the most talented player on this offense, but everything is running through Josh Jacobs. Now his price has climbed dramatically from 5,400 in week 3 when he rattled off 14.7 points to 55, 59. It went up to 65, like a 10% hike up to 6,500 against Houston. And then he had a massive game against Houston. I still think people are going to be on this Josh Jacobs train this week. However, I caution. And the reason that I caution is because you want to buy a player when streaks are definitely a thing. He is certainly on a hot streak. The problem with streaks is you don't know when they're going to start, and it's unpredictable when they're going to end. So he could very easily have a 14-point day this week playing on the road in New Orleans. Yeah, they're favored. Like, I like the fact that he has a much better floor with 4 or more targets each of the last 4 games. But as a player does really well, and he has done ridiculously well, averaging over 35 points a game, 36 points a game the last 3 weeks, the crowd tends to jump more on that hot streak bandwagon. So as the price goes up and the percentage goes up at the same time in tournaments, that's when I want to look for somewhere else to go. So like for me, I would prefer to go to Alvin Kamara, who has not put up a 30-point game at all this year, let alone in the last 3 weeks, as opposed to paying $400 more for Josh Jacobs. I'm not saying Jacobs is a bad play. He clearly isn't. I'm thinking from a tournament perspective, even from a cash game perspective, it's easier for Alvin Kamara to get you to 20 points on volume than it is for Josh Jacobs to get you there on volume alone, considering that he's played against Houston, against Kansas City, 2 defenses that are not great against the run. Denver, he did light them up, and they have been pretty solid against the run. Like, he's fine, but I think there are other plays in that range, and I think that the best value play on the slate, at running back specifically, is brother Raheem Mostert, who has seen tremendous volume. The traditional thought about Mostert was that he was going to get injured because he's been injured before. And yes, he has had problems dealing with injuries in the past. However, you want running backs who are going to run against light boxes. right? That means safeties can't creep up to the line. That means linebackers have to man the outside. That means that he's running against these 6 and 7 man boxes way more often than other running backs who are running against 8 and 9 man boxes because they lack the outside threat and the deep threats that exist on this Miami offense with Tyreek Hill on one side and Jalen Waddle on the other. Raheem Mostert's only 5,900 coming off of a 16 carry, 5 target performance, 20 plus opportunities. They are favored and against Detroit, who has given up 24 or more real life points in every week this season. Mostert could be a must start this week in daily fantasy. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.